So, circles are everywhere. Bear with me. Circles are everywhere. Look. Circle. 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 Okay, enough. So, circles are everywhere, and circles are very related to circular motion, which is very related to centripetal force. And in this video, we're going to be exploring what centripetal, you can say centripetal or you can say centripetal. I just said centripetal or something. Anyway, centripetal force, we're going to explain what that is. And instead of me just not speaking properly at you, watch this tutorial where I speak normally and it will explain what centripetal force is.
Okay, so let's talk about centripetal force. Let's talk about what it is, okay? Because it's a really important force that we experience every day, and I think a lot of the time we don't even realise it. It's certainly a thing that we've heard of, but maybe not something that we fully understand. So that's what we're going to talk about here in this tutorial. So I suppose let's just tackle the question: what is centripetal force? Well, I think the best way to describe centripetal force is to think of it as it's effectively a resultant force, okay? And it's also a consequence. Okay, it's also a consequence. Oh goodness, terrible circle. It's also a consequence of Newton's first law. Okay, which states that an object in motion will remain in motion unless a resultant force acts upon it. Right. So if we had an object that was moving like this, okay, and let's say it continues to move along like this, okay, where it represents, where the arrow represents the velocity of the object, and let's say that, for argument's sake, that the magnitude of this velocity is staying constant. Let's say it's traveling at 3 meters per second, whatever. Okay, we can see that the direction is changing. Okay, and we'll get to that in a second. But let's move back to Newton's first law, which states that an object in motion will remain in motion provided it's not acted on by a resultant force. But that isn't what's happening here. We have this object which is moving, but it's moving in this lovely circular path, right? Hence circular motion. But why? Well, it's because of centripetal force, right? Because if there wasn't a force, a resultant force acting on this object, what would happen if it was traveling along like this? Well, it would just continue, right? They would just continue on in a straight line because of Newton's first law. But we're seeing a circle that is happening. We're seeing a lovely circular path. So what conclusions can we draw from this? Well, we can draw a conclusion that there's certainly a resultant force that's acting on my object, whatever it may be. Let's say it's a ball. But I suppose the question then becomes, in which direction is that resultant force acting? And I suppose it makes logical sense. If it's moving in a uniform circular path, that resultant force is acting towards the center of that circle. Okay, like this, towards the center. Okay, that's probably not the best arrow, but towards the center of the circle, like this. Right? And what we notice when we do this, is that resultant force, that center-seeking force, is perpendicular. It's acting perpendicular to the velocity itself. So this center-seeking force, this centripetal force, is acting perpendicular to the velocity. Okay, and therefore it's acting in the same direction as the acceleration, right? Well, why do I say that? Well, there's a change in velocity. We know that acceleration is defined as the rate of change of velocity. Okay, it's the change in velocity over time. And because the direction of the velocity is changing, it doesn't have to just be the magnitude, that's staying constant, but because the direction is changing, we can say that there is an acceleration. Okay, and that acceleration is acting in the same direction as this resultant force, as this centripetal force. Okay, so you can think of centripetal force as a natural consequence of Newton's first law. Okay, and it's acting perpendicular to the velocity itself, Otherwise it wouldn't move in a circular path, and that force is acting in the same direction as the acceleration. And we are experiencing an acceleration because there is a change in velocity over time. Okay, and that is effectively what centripetal force is.
I never film without coffee. I try and always have a coffee beforehand. Anyway, I have like 4 a day. Is that too much? I don't know. Is it? Is it too many if you have 4 coffees a day? Sometimes 5. Leave a comment below. Hopefully that video helped you understand what centripetal force is. It's pretty cool. I like to think of it as a natural consequence of Newton's first law, but however you like. Please like and subscribe. It helps us grow the channel and get more content to you guys. Obviously this is an A-level topic, but that doesn't mean that you can't watch it just because you're doing GCSE. Learn it, understand it, and when you go on to do physics A-level, you can wow your classmates and be like, I know what it is. And then your teacher will be like, oh, you don't, and then you will tell them, and then you'll be like, woo, star student. See you next time.